Hello everyone. So you want to play Draw Steel, the new kid in the tactical RPG block. Your director might want to run it for you, or you might have seen a cool video online talking about how you should try it. Either way, you've got to learn the rules first. In this video, I'm going to teach you the basics, the core mechanic of the game, and how to use it to roll for tests. Cool? Then let's get started. Just like in Dungeons & Dragons, in Draw Steel, you're playing the role of a hero in a dangerous fantasy world. When you want to do something risky like sneak past a royal guard or lie to an ogre, the director will ask you to roll dice to see if you succeed. In D&D, that's the D20 roll. In Draw Steel, we have the power roll. There are 3 steps to the power roll. Roll your dice, add your bonus, and check your tier. Sounds a little complex, but it's super simple. For the first step, the dice you'll be rolling are always 2 10-sided dice, or 2d10. You just roll them and add the numbers. Easy. Just remember that most RPG D10s show a 0 in place of a 10, so a double 0 would actually be a 20. Next, it's time to add your bonus. Every character in Draw Steel has 5 characteristics, only one of which will be added to the roll. The characteristics are might for strength and brawn, agility for coordination and nimbleness, reason for logic and education, intuition for instincts and experience, and presence for force of personality. For example, if you're playing a first level character that's very strong, they'll probably have a might score of 2. So when you roll to see if you can break down a door, your power roll will be 2d10 plus 2. Starting scores range from -1 to +2, and they're noted at the top of your character sheet. Now, the last step. Check your tier. Once you have the total for the roll, you need to see what outcome tier you've got. If you got an 11 or lower, that's a tier 1, the worst. If you've got between 12 and 16, that's a tier 2, the average. If you've got a 17 or higher, that's a tier 3, the best. The only exception to this roll is when you roll a natural 19 or 20, that is, a 19 or 20 on the dice before adding any bonuses. This is called a critical, and it's an automatic tier 3 independently of how bad your bonuses are. What each tier actually means in the fiction depends on the difficulty of the task you're trying to accomplish, but we'll talk more about that in a second. So, putting it all together. Your strong but very awkward hero is trying to bribe a guard, so your director asks for a presence power roll. Since your presence score is -1, you'll be rolling 2d10 -1. But hey, your total was 17. That means you got a tier 3. And that's almost everything you need to know about power rolls. Roll your dice, add your bonus, check your tier. There are only a couple of additional modifiers that can help or hinder your roll on top of your characteristics. These are called edges and banes. Edges are situational advantages you can get on a power roll. For example, when you're sneaking past a sleepy guard or lying to a drunk ogre. If you have an edge on your roll, you gain a +2 bonus. If you have 2 or more edges, what's called a double edge, instead of the numerical bonus, you simply bump up the tier. Banes are the exact opposite, situational disadvantages. If you have a bane, you gain a -2 penalty. If you have 2 or more banes, a double bane, you just have to downgrade the tier. So let's examine a simple example, climbing a wall. That's usually a might power roll, so your buff hero rolls 2d10 +2 for a total of 16, a tier 2. If your hero was wearing special climbing gloves, you'd gain an edge, increasing your total to 18 and improving your outcome to a tier 3. If instead of gloves you had a bunch of heavy gear on your back, that might incur a bane, decreasing your total to 14. Fortunately, that's still a tier 2. But if you had all the weight on your back and it was raining, you'd have a double bane. In this situation, your total would remain 16, however, the outcome would be downgraded to a tier 1. And what if you have both banes and edges? This part's easy. They cancel each other out. A bane and an edge becomes a straight roll, a double bane and an edge becomes a bane, and so on. I know this part sounds a little difficult, but I promise that you get used to it pretty quickly. There are two types of power roll: tests and ability rolls. We're going to cover abilities in the future because they're mostly for combat, so let's talk about tests. Tests are what I've been talking about up until now. Everything I said also applies to abilities, but all of my examples have been tests. When to sneak past a guard, that's an agility test. When to lie to an ogre, that's a presence test. When to climb a wall, that's a might test. So, what's specific to tests that doesn't apply to abilities? Two things: difficulties and skills. The difficulty of a test is, in short, how high you have to roll to be successful. An easy test can be surmounted with a tier 1, while a medium test requires a tier 2, and a hard test can only be overcome with a tier 3. This is all neatly summarized in a table on page 250 of the book. If you look closely at the table, you notice that there are mentions of rewards and consequences. These rewards and consequences can be described by the director or pitched by the players. They're usually narrative, so for example, a success with a consequence when sneaking past the guards means you did it, but you might have left a trail of evidence. Also note that a critical is always a success with a reward. You succeed and gain something extra, so pray that luck is on your side. Now, on to skills. These are out-of-combat specializations that your hero gains during character creation. Long story short, they give you a +2 bonus to tests where they're applicable. This is in addition to the characteristic and any edges and banes. The list of skills in this game is huge, so don't worry about having only a few, because everyone's gonna be on the same boat. For ease of reference, they're divided into 5 groups. Crafting skills for creating and appraising goods, exploration skills for exploring and overcoming environments, interpersonal skills for social interactions, intrigue skills for investigation and thievery, and lore skills for research and recalling information. It is up to the player to pitch the use of a skill for a test. So when the director demands a might test in order to climb a wall, the player can ask to use the climb skill for that test if they have it on their character sheet. To recap, a power roll involves rolling your dice, adding your bonuses, and checking your tier. Your dice are always 2d10s. Your bonuses include one characteristic and any applicable edges and banes. It might also include a relevant skill if rolling for a test. As for your tier, it will be a tier 1 on an 11 or lower, a tier 2 on a 12 to 16, or a tier 3 on a 17 or higher. Then, for tests, your director will see if you're successful or not based on the difficulty. And that's all for today's lesson. Make sure to like this video and subscribe to the channel if you want more Draw Steel content. Also, check the description for links to my Patreon and the Dice Society's Discord server. See you all next time. Thank you very much, and goodbye.